Hey, this is Deepak here from digitaldeepak.com. In the last lesson, you learned how to install a WordPress blog using cPanel, using your HostGator account. So in this video, I want to show you a list of tasks you can do as soon as your WordPress blog is installed. So I have a list of tasks here which you can follow. The first step after you install a WordPress blog that I recommend is that you create a new Google account. So that is something I have just created. I'll put a tick mark to it. So usually the name of the email account, I put it as the domain name at gmail.com. So here I am having iamalok.com. So I created an account iamalok.com at gmail.com. So this is easy to maintain, and there is a lot of Google services that you will be using along with your blog, and having everything at the same place helps a lot. And even if you are selling your WordPress blog in the future, you can give access to this particular mail account to someone else if they are buying the entire website. So don't mix it with your personal account. So that is something that we have done. And let's go back into the WordPress admin area. The second step that we have to do is choose a www version or non-www version. So we are back in the admin area. Let's go to settings and let's go to general. So here you can see that the WordPress address URL is iamalok.com. So there are some websites which starts with www dot, and there are some websites which do not have the www dot version. So it is just a subdomain, and many websites nowadays work without the www version as well. But many famous websites are still running in the www version. Like for example, if you go to neilpatel.com, you can see that the www version is not there. However, if you go to quicksprout.com,
Hi, my name is Neil Patel, and I have a question for you today. Do you feel
you can see that it's the www version. So once you set up a particular version, you should not change it later, because all your search engine results will show whether this version or that version. So you have to decide once. So let's say I'm going with the www version. So I just enter this here and I save the changes. So the most important thing here is that once you are done with it, don't ever change it again. So I am at the dashboard again, and you can see that here it's the www dot version, and once it is set, just leave it at it and make a decision when you are starting the website. Now you can see the website is also in that version, and all the posts inside it is also in that version. So the next step that you have to do is set up the permalink structure. So go to settings and click on permalinks. So here you can see there are different types of permalinks. So this is basically the URL structure that comes on your website. So here you can see the URL structure right now is not looking that great. So what I would recommend is that always select post name. When you look at my website, it's always the post name. So let's open my blog, and you can click on any of one of the articles, and you would be able to see that the URL structure is very clean and neat. There are no numbers in the URL structure, and sometimes people can go directly into this page by typing the URL as well. So that's why I recommend post name as the URL structure, and while publishing a post you can edit this URL structure as well, and you will not have days or month name or anything like that on the URL. Sometimes the default one usually will be the plain structure with the post number. I do not recommend that for SEO purposes. Click on save changes. So another benefit in having post name as the URL structure is that whenever someone is searching on Google, the words in the URL will get bolded. So I will show you an example. For example, if I go ahead and search for this on Google, you can see that these words are getting bolded, right? So Google bolds the keywords in the text here so that the click-through rate increases. So whatever words are here, here you can see that those words are in bold. So this is very important for SEO. So make sure that you have a proper permalink structure, and this is also something that you should never change once it has been set up. So now let's go back to the blog and let's click on refresh. You can see that that particular page does not exist. Go back home and click on hello world. Here you can see now the URL structure is very clean. It's just hello-world, and basically the post name appears on the URL structure as well. So that has been done. www version we have selected. We have done permalinks, and next is we will publish a new post and a new page. So let's just get some content. So I will just get some content from Wikipedia for publishing here, just for experimentation purpose. So go back to the dashboard, click on post and click on add new. Here you can just paste whatever you have copied from there. There are two types of editors, one is visual editor and one is text editor. When you are copying from some other place, it's better to paste it in the text editor. And go back to visual. So I will just give the title as what is WordPress. And now before publishing, you can save the draft. If you are writing an article which is not completed, you can just save the draft. Here you can see that the permalink is just what is WordPress, same as the title of the post, which you can manually edit as well. So you can just put it as WordPress if you want, and you can add a category. You can just call it as general and click on publish. So once you click on publish, a new post will be published on the blog. Go to home and you can see a new post has been published, what is WordPress, and once you click on it, the post page opens and you can see the URL is what we have given. So that's how you publish a new post. Let's go ahead and publish a new page. So as I had explained before, posts are attached with a date and it appears on the chronological order on the home page of the blog. Pages are something which is not attached with a date, and they are just static pages inside your WordPress blog. So let me just create a sample page here, just some content about WordPress themes, and then you click on publish. Go back here, click on home, and you can see the page appears here. So WP themes is the page that we have just published and it has appeared here. In certain themes it will not always appear on the navigation bar, it will just appear somewhere else inside, or it will be hidden. It's based on your theme settings. So that's how you publish a page. So this is something that we have done: publish a new post, publish a new page. And what next we will do is that we will have a look at sidebar widgets before we move on to plugins. So what are sidebar widgets? In most of the themes you can see that there will be a sidebar. So this is the sidebar, and here you can have a lot of different widgets. So we have recent posts, recent comments, archives and things like that. So this can be edited from the appearance section. So go to appearance and go to widgets. Once you open the widgets page, you will have the main sidebar section here. So let's say recent post is something that you want to put it on top. Here, let's say you want to show 7 recent posts. If you want to display the post date as well, yes, click on save. And here we go ahead and refresh. You can see recent post has come on top with the date and search has gone down. So here, let's say you want to add a banner. So what you can do, you can drag this text or arbitrary HTML. You can put it here, and here you can add the code for the banner. And once you add the code for the banner, it will appear here in the sidebar. So if you want to remove meta, you can just delete that widget. So here is meta, just delete that widget and go back, refresh. You can see that meta section has gone. So this is how you control the widgets in the sidebar. There are themes which will have 2 different sidebars, one on the left and one on the right. There are themes which will have 2 sidebars on the right. But I recommend themes which have one section on the left and one small section on the right. That is the best way to go, and you can see that my blog also follows a similar structure. So there is content side on the left and then there is one sidebar on the right. So now we have had a look at sidebar widgets. Let's put a tick to it. Then we will have a look at Yoast SEO plugin. So if you want good SEO for your blog, obviously you need an SEO plugin, and Yoast is one of the best in the market and it's free. So just search for Yoast in the WordPress plugin marketplace, and here you can see a plugin called Yoast SEO. Go ahead and install the plugin and activate the plugin. So now this is the section where you can access Yoast SEO. Go to dashboard, and here there are a lot of settings that you can control. So let's just browse through the different sections. So they have a configuration wizard which will take you step by step throughout the entire setup. So first it will ask you to sign up for the newsletter, which you can accept or ignore. Click on next. So the kind of environment that your site is running, so the, let's say, production, which is, this is a live site and people will be able to visit this site. Site type is a blog. This is an individual company. Name of the person is Alok Das. So it is asking whether you want to publicly display the posts, and yes, we want to make it visible. And the media files, we can keep it hidden. Nobody needs to access the media files directly. Click on next. So will it have multiple authors or single author? Let's say it's single author for now. So Google Search Console. Search Console is something we will look at as soon as this plugin is installed. So basically Search Console helps you get indexed on the search engine. So it used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. You can see this is google.com/webmaster/tools, but now it's called the Search Console. You can just search for Google Search Console and land here. So here, if you want to authenticate your website with Google Search Console, Yoast will help you with this. Let's say I click on get Google authorization code. So basically Yoast will automatically communicate with your Google account and get it authorized. So this is the authorization code. Just copy it and paste it here. Click on authenticate. So right now there is no profile to be found. So let's go ahead and add the website first. Website is www.imalok.com. Click on add a property. And now it is waiting for verification. Let's see if we can get it verified from here. So this is the profile that we want to verify, iamalok.com, and click on next. So website name would be i''m''alok, and title separator is basically if you have post pages, there will be a title and then there will be a post. So what is the symbol that you want to separate the title and the post title with? So click on next, and I believe most of the setup is done now. Click on close. So let's say go ahead and verify this property. There are different verification methods. One of the methods is adding a meta tag. Just copy this meta tag, go back to the website and go to appearance editor, and here you have to go ahead and edit the header file. So this is the theme header. Click on proceed, and here you can add this meta tag along with the other meta tags. So this is just one of the methods for verification. The other method would be to download a verification file and upload it through the file manager of your HostGator account. Let's see if this has been verified now. Yes, so now this domain has been verified with Google Search Console, and Google Search Console will give you a lot of data once you start receiving traffic, such as search analytics, what people are searching for in Google search. So one of the features of Google Webmaster Tools is that you can add a sitemap to Google, and Google will know what are all the different pages on your website. So now let's go back and create a sitemap for our site. There is a separate plugin for that. You can click on add new. So Yoast also used to have a sitemap feature, but I think it has gone to the premium section now. So there is a plugin called Google XML Sitemaps, and this is the same plugin that I use for my website as well to create sitemaps. So click on install, click on activate. So once you install some plugins will be directly available here in the sidebar. Sometimes you have to go into one of the settings or tools tab to access the plugin. So here you can see XML sitemap is inside the settings section. So here go ahead and create the sitemap for the first time. Click on update options, and you can see the sitemap has been created. So sitemaps usually reside at your domain name /sitemap.xml. So here is the sitemap. You can copy this and go back to Search Console and submit a sitemap. Sorry, it's not this place. Go ahead, click on this link and click on add or test a sitemap. So it says iamalok.com already. So just remove this and click on submit. Refresh the page. So this is the sitemap. We have submitted the sitemap, and it will take some time for Google to go ahead and crawl all the pages in this sitemap. So now one of the biggest advantages of Search Console is that once you publish a brand new page, you can go ahead and request Google to crawl that page. So basically inside the crawl section, there will be a button called Fetch as Google. And here, let's say I go ahead and try to index the recent blog post that we have published. What is WordPress? So here I will just take the URL of this, go back to Search Console, click on this, and let's say I click on fetch and render. So basically Google bot or the Google spider will go ahead and visit this page, and as a consequence it will also try to include this page in the search index. So most of the time, once your site gets a little bit going, most of the time all the pages will get indexed. Sometimes in the initial stages it will not get indexed. So to get indexed, I am clicking on request indexing. Crawl only this URL, you can select, click on go, and it says that indexing has been requested. So let's go ahead and check if this page has been indexed. So one of the ways to do it is go to google.com and click on site semicolon imalok.com, click on enter. So yes, so this page has been indexed. You can see that what is WordPress, the page which we tried to get indexed has got indexed, and you can also see the title separator that we selected while setting up Yoast. So this was this symbol which is the title separator. So the title of the post and the title of the blog are separated by this symbol. So if you click on it, it will go back into the blog, and this is a very important SEO step. If you want your pages to be discovered on Google, then obviously you need Search Console and you want to get these pages indexed. So where are we right now? We have generated sitemaps, we have verified our blog on the Search Console, we have submitted the sitemaps to search engines, and one thing we can do is go ahead and set up Google Analytics. So just search for Google Analytics and click on Google Analytics, click on sign up. So Google Analytics basically helps you track all the visits on your website. So let's say account name is imalok, website name imalok.com, URL is www.imalok.com. So reporting time zone is very important. So if you are in India, select India, otherwise the reporting will not be accurate. So here you can just select one of the categories, get tracking ID, again click on India here, I accept. So once you do this step, your Google Analytics account has been set up and they will give you a tracking ID. So you can either install this script on all the pages of your website, or you can just install this tracking ID on a plugin. So usually doing it via plugins is easier. So go to plugins, click on add new and search for a Google Analytics plugin. So we have a plugin called Google Analytics. Let's just install it, activate it. So here you have this plugin, Google Analytics. So by authenticating it with Google, what this plugin is that this plugin fetches data from Google and displays it on your WordPress login itself. If you manually enter the tracking ID, you will be able to look at the statistics only at Google Analytics. So let's just authenticate it with Google. Copy the authentication code and put it back here. Click on Save Changes. So I believe there is, so now this particular account has got authenticated, and you select this particular account and click on Save Changes. So now the changes has been saved. Go to dashboard and here you can see some statistics right here. So let's go back here and let's go back home. So here, as soon as you log in into your Google Analytics account, which will be at analytics.google.com/analytics/web, you will be able to see the account that you have just set up. So this is the account that we have just set up. Click on this, and right now obviously there is no data to be seen. So there will be another lesson about Google Analytics where I will take you through all the features of Google Analytics, where you will be able to see live data there. So let's check one thing, which is real time. So real time will basically show you how many visitors are there on your website right now. So let me go ahead and try to visit this website on my mobile, and let's see if there is a new visitor showing here. So you can see that right now it says one active users on the site and one person is on mobile, and you can see the location is from Bangalore because I am visiting this from Bangalore. So that's how powerful Google Analytics is. It can track visitors live on your site. So let's go ahead and visit the site on a browser as well. Now let's go back to Google Analytics. You can see that right now there are two visitors on the site. One is me visiting from mobile, and the other one I have visited from the browser. So it says one from desktop, one from mobile, and both are from Bangalore, and both are on this page /WordPress. So if I click on desktop, I can get details only for the desktop users. So this is Google Analytics real time, and there are so many options and features on Google Analytics that Analytics itself is a separate module for learning in digital marketing. So let's go back. Let's look at the steps we have taken. Sign up for Google Analytics we have done, and social share plugins. So that is something we can do finally before winding up. So here I am adding a new plugin called Social Share. So Social Share plugin basically helps you add social sharing buttons to your post. So there are plenty of plugins. You can choose one which works best for you. You can experiment with it. So let's look for a good rated one. So here this looks good, 70,000 installs, 4.5 stars in rating. Activate it. And now here you can see Access Press Social Share. So here it says what are all the options you need to have. Select the one that you need to have, click on Save Settings. Share options, where do you want it to display posts and pages. Display settings, let's say above content. What is the theme that you want? Let's say I want this particular theme. And let's click on Save Settings. And there are other settings as well which you can experiment with. Now let's go back to the blog, see if the social share plugins appear. So click on a post, and here you can see the social share plugins have appeared. So that's how you add more plugins and increase the functionality of your WordPress blog. And go ahead and create your own WordPress blog, create your own domain, and start building, start becoming creative, try with different themes, go ahead and research for premium themes, go ahead and try to install different plugins, try to improve the functionality. Most of the time when you browse other sites, if you see a functionality, chances are that that particular functionality will be available as a plugin inside your WordPress login itself. So that's about it for the demo of what you can do with WordPress, the initial things that you can set up with WordPress. And thank you for watching this video. And if you have not set up a blog yet, I highly recommend that you do so. Go ahead and register a domain, go ahead and install a blog with HostGator, go ahead and sign up for a HostGator account. Or if you don't want to sign up for a HostGator account, there are other options as well which I will let you know via email. But to learn digital marketing, having your own website and experimenting with it is very important. You can start learning social media, you can start learning analytics, you can start learning SEO, you can rank your own pages on the search and start getting traffic from the search engines. So all this will help you a lot. And if at all you are applying for a job and trying to get a job in the digital marketing field, this particular website itself will be like a project work which you can showcase to others. And most of the people who apply for digital marketing jobs will have a certificate from one of the digital marketing training institutes. But instead of a certificate, what you will have is that you will have a live project where you can show your employer, potential employer, that you have driven traffic via search, you have installed analytics, you know how to use it, you have installed social sharing plugins, and you have social pages to go along with it. So all these things you can show, which proves that you have practiced digital marketing. You just don't know digital marketing, but you can actually implement digital marketing related things, right? So thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.